Law enforcement just got a big apology from GoFundMe. The online fundraising platform issued a statement after campaigns supporting Rodney Hinton Jr. racked up donations over the weekend.
It's hump day and nothing makes me happier than GoFundMe doing the right thing, apologizing to the Cincinnati police and canceling that bullshit GoFundMe for the father who couldn't raise his child. So the streets did, and now they're all paying for it. Rodney Hinton Jr. Hell yeah, God bless.
So this man had his GoFundMe deleted. But when I tell you why, people are calling it a modern day eye for an eye. So Rodney Hinton Jr.'s son was unalived by a cop in Cincinnati. Instead of waiting for justice, he took matter into his own hands. He allegedly ran over a police officer. So some people were trying to raise money for this man's defense. But GoFundMe, they pulled that plug fast. But meanwhile, some lady who got caught on tape calling a little boy the N-word who had autism, she raises $500,000. And her account's still up there. One gets sympathy and cash, while the other one gets shut down and silenced. Same platform, completely different energies. Should Rodney Hinton Jr. be allowed to raise money? Or did GoFundMe make the right call?
I'm not going to ever go against or take back whatever the fuck I said. The same way y'all applauded Kyle Rittenhouse and damn near tried to make him a Nobel Peace Prize winner for his actions, which were unjustified, which were wrong, which were horrible. The same way y'all supporting that white lady Shiloh that had the audacity to spew racial slurs to a black kid that she claims tried to go in her 18-month-old's diaper bag and steal something that she claims she needs protection from to justify her actions for calling a young black kid a racial slur. And y'all are supporting her GoFundMe and she set it at $1 million and y'all already have her set at $429,000. Give me a damn break. Same way y'all support bullshit like that, we are supporting Carmela Anthony as well as Rodney Hinton Jr. Fair exchange is not no robbery. The black female officer that is escorting Rodney Hinton Jr. out of their courtroom name is Officer Durham, and she is getting a lot of backlash and treated unfairly by her own counterparts and co-workers within the Cincinnati Police Department. And you expect me to feel sorry for y'all? And she's still handling y'all with grace when I would not have, considering the ignorance and BS that we have to see on the daily coming from y'all end. That is a black female officer doing her job. She deserves better. Get out of y'all goddamn feelings and cry me a river because we don't care. I stand on that.
Now, let's talk about Rodney Hinton. He is a black man, a father who lost his son at the hands of the police. We all know how painful that must be. A parent's worst nightmare, burying their child. But it wasn't just any tragedy. His son was reportedly unalived by the same institution that is supposed to protect us all, the police. And when justice didn't come through the legal system, Rodney allegedly took matters into his own hands and unalived a police officer. Now, I'm not saying what Rodney did was right. Violence should never be the answer, but I understand why people are saying they get where he was coming from. This is what happens when the justice system keeps failing people, when black parents keep burying their children while the officers who unalive them walk free. Eventually, someone breaks. And even if Rodney's response was wrong, it speaks to a bigger problem, a system that keeps pushing people to the edge. Now, here's where things get really complicated. Someone set up a global GoFundMe for Rodney Hinton, and that account was quickly taken down. Not only that, GoFundMe actually issued an apology for even allowing it to be published in the first place. They said it violated their terms of service, but this is where we need to pause and really reflect. Why was Rodney's fundraiser taken down so fast while other fundraisers, especially for white people who have done worse, are allowed to stay up? I mean, let's talk about the recent incident where a white woman was caught on camera racially abusing a black boy. She launched a GoFundMe afterwards, and people, especially white people, donated to her like she was some kind of victim. And guess what? Her campaign was allowed to stay up. So the question becomes, is this a double standard?
Rodney Hinton Jr. has a GoFundMe up and the police officers are pissed. Rodney Hinton is the one who was accused for unaliving the deputy in Cincinnati, the one who unalived his son for a stolen vehicle incident. Breaking news, the National Police Association tweeted out on X, "Hey, at GoFundMe, this fundraiser for the killer of Hamilton County, Ohio's Sheriff Deputy Larry Henderson violates your policy and needs to be removed." A GoFundMe titled Justice for Rodney Hinton Jr. and his son has raised more than $5,000. The goal is to raise funds for Rodney Jr.'s attorney and for his son's murder. A separate GoFundMe titled Help Honor Ryan Hinton's Memory and Seek Justice, which aims to help the 18-year-old family seek justice for Ryan in the form of legal representation and proper memorial for his life, has raised more than $7,000. And since we're talking about policies and rules and regulation, my question to you guys, what was the same energy when you have a white tea lady right now that's profit over $300,000 for bullying and harassing and racially cussing out, calling a kid a racial slur? She was able to raise more than $300,000. Where's the same energy in all the laws that we have written to make everybody equal? Why do we have so many sundown towns? Why do we have so many of them all around the United States? So you want to talk about laws and what violates what?
So we gonna let GoFundMe just take Robert Hinton Jr. shit down like that? So we gonna let these racist ass platforms just take Robert Hinton Jr. shit down because they say that his family violated their terms, so they can't even have a GoFundMe. But this white girl can have a, you know what? It's posted in the link below. This is how you can fund Robert Hinton Jr. Posted that Gary Clay guy, and that's how that was the same one that white lady went on there and got that $600,000 from. 600,000. That's the real one. GoFundMe, y'all racist, man. Y'all don't want this black man to have no, man.
Rodney Hinton's case is controversial, yes, but so is the case of a woman racially abusing a child. So why is it that when a black man pushed to the edge by a system that unalived his son has people rally behind him, that support is seen as unacceptable? Why is GoFundMe comfortable collecting money off of hate but not comfortable when people show support? Even if controversial for someone reacting to pain and trauma, let's not forget, GoFundMe has allowed fundraisers for police officers who are accused of brutality. They've allowed fundraisers for people who have said openly racist things. They've allowed fundraisers for people involved in hate crimes. So again, why was Rodney's account the exception? We need to be honest here. This feels like discrimination. It feels like GoFundMe is saying that black pain isn't allowed to be validated, even by a community that understands it. When a black man loses his son to state violence and retaliates, not saying it's right, but real talk, people try to help him, they are silenced. But when someone openly spreads hate or racism, suddenly it's freedom of speech or the right to fundraise. How does that work? Because if GoFundMe's term of service are about not promoting violence or illegal activities, then those rules should apply equally. If you're going to take Rodney's fundraiser down because he allegedly unalived someone, then take down every fundraiser of that nature, not just the black ones. Let's not forget Kylie Rittenhouse. Do you guys remember him? The teenager who crossed state lines with an AR-15 and unalived 2 people during the protest. He had fundraisers going up in multiple places. He was hailed as a hero in many conservative circles. There were t-shirts made with his face on them. Politicians backed him up, and no one from GoFundMe came out to apologize for supporting that. So, what's the difference?
Just saw a video on my For You page. Once again, they took down his GoFundMe account. The judge ordered for it to be taken down and was saying that he will be pursuing the death penalty. But we have yet to see anything happen to the man that killed his son. We have yet to see any investigation actually go down about the man who killed his son. This is getting out of hand. I feel as though the judge is biased due to him being an older Caucasian male. And I am going to say it just because as many police officers as they had in that courtroom, I have yet to see a case where the suspect, who was Caucasian, get treated like that. Get treated like someone that is an animal locked up at a zoo with all of these bystanders watching him. Get treated as though his life does not matter. Get treated as though he just doesn't, like he's just a menace to society. Like he didn't just have one of the worst things that could happen to somebody happen to him and his family. His son was gunned down by a white Cincinnati, Ohio police officer who claimed he was scared for his life due to this 18-year-old boy having a gun, which we have still yet to see. I'm not understanding. The puzzle pieces aren't fitting together, and 2 plus 2 is not making 4.
I just want to say that every person that's black in America need to right now stand up for Rodney Hinton. We need to make that man a GoFundMe. If that white girl can get on GoFundMe and disrespect the little black girl by calling her the N-word, repeatedly and being recorded by calling her the N-word, then we need to get on here and we need to make a GoFundMe for Rodney, because we need him protected, man, because that's black love. The police came to that man's house, told them that they unjustly gunned his son down. That man didn't wait, because we already know what waiting and got us. We don't get no justice in court, so wait for what? That man reacted right then. That's black love. He shows you what we willing to do for our people. If y'all gonna go out there and let that white girl get damn near $300,000 for calling that black person the N-word, start a GoFundMe for Rodney Hinton.
Kylie unalives 2 people at a protest, and he gets millions in donations. Rodney allegedly unalives 1 officer after his son is unalived by the police, and his fundraiser is deleted. If that's not racial bias, I don't know what it is. And don't get it twisted. Nobody is saying unaliving police officer is okay, but we are saying that you cannot ignore the context of people's actions, the pain, the trauma, the justice that leads people to snap. And if people from his community or people online want to show him support, not even saying they support the act, but maybe they support the person, why isn't that allowed? We need to start talking about how platforms like GoFundMe enforces their policies, because on paper, the terms of service sound neutral. They say no fundraising for criminal activity. Okay, but what about when white people commit crimes and fundraise for legal fees? What about when hate groups organize through these platforms? What about victims of racism get attacked and attackers still get to collect money? It always seems like there's a loophole when it's a white person involved. Black people, on the other hand, are held to a different standard, even in pain, even in grief, even when we are trying to support one another through unimaginable loss. Rodney Hinton lost a son. That alone is enough trauma to break a person. And instead of addressing the root issue, the system that keeps unaliving black boys and men, we are arguing about whether he deserves to be supported. That's the wrong conversation. The conversation should be, how do we stop the cycle? How do we make sure no other black parent has to bury their child because of police violence? How do we stop the trauma from turning into more violence? Instead, we are debating whether a grieving father deserves empathy. We are debating whether his community has the right to rally behind him. This is bigger than GoFundMe. This is about how society decides whose pain is valid, whose grief is acceptable, whose anger is understandable. Because I guarantee you, if Rodney was white, if his son was unalived, and he snapped and unalived the person he thought was responsible, this story would look different. The headlines could call him a grieving father, not a criminal. The GoFundMe would be flooded with donations. He would be called brave, not violent. But because he's black and because he acted against the police, the narrative changes. The empathy disappears. The double standards show up. We need to call this out for what it is: hypocrisy. We don't have to agree with what Rodney did, but you have to acknowledge the injustice that led up to it. You have to acknowledge that community supporting him is doing so not because they love violence, but because they are tired of being ignored, tired of being unalived, tired of being told be peaceful while burying their loved ones. GoFundMe owes more than just an apology for putting up the fundraiser. They owe an explanation for why that fundraiser was taken down, while others promoting hate, violence, and racism are allowed to thrive. Because right now, all it looks like is selective outrage. Now, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you believe GoFundMe was right to delete Rodney's campaign, or do you think there is a clear double standard at play? And more importantly, how do you hold these platforms accountable? Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Stay aware, stay woke, and keep questioning the systems around you. And without forgetting, remember to subscribe, like, and share as well. And until next time, bye-bye.